Hi everyone. Today we are discussing on Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and my team members Akib, Harish and Nidhi will take over respectively and tell you accordingly. So now I'm telling you with the introduction. The Commonwealth Bank of Australia was founded under the Commonwealth Bank Act 1911. The operations of the organization commenced in year 1912, and since then it is committed to providing savings and general banking services to the public. The organization has grown up to become a family of more than 800,000 shareholders and 52,000 employees, and they offer an entire range of banking and financial services to the people of Australia, allowing them to manage their finances. Currently, this bank operates as a multinational organization, having its business in Australia, New Zealand, Asia, UK, and US. The services provided by them include retailing banking services, institutional banking services, insurance services, superannuation, fund management, and broking services. It is the largest banking organization operating in the Southern Hemisphere and is the largest listed organization in Australia on Australian Securities Exchange. Catherine Livingstone is the chairman of Commonwealth Bank, and Matt Comyn holds the position of managing director and CEO. The banking and financial services organizations are susceptible to various security threats, and therefore this bank constantly works towards managing the risk that the cyber threats pose for them. The organization has dedicated teams that are working towards protecting the system, and with the increase in awareness of the importance of cybersecurity, has made the organization even more conscious of these efforts. And now my friend Akib will take over and let you about cyber risk.
So, cyber risk environment for Commonwealth Bank. With the advent of technology, more and more organizations are going digital. Technology has enabled us to stay connected and gain quick access to large amounts of information in no time. However, this has also increased the risk and the cyber threats that the organizations are exposed to. Being a multinational organization, Commonwealth Bank has developed solid measures for its cybersecurity so that the sensitive data and information being stored and exchanged by them remain secure. The Combank is also exposed to the threats and cyber risk environment for the organization constitutes of latest trends and observations along with the cybersecurity environment and the regulatory and legal precedents that are relevant for the developments and application of security strategy for the company. Some of the recent trends and observations related to cybersecurity observed by the organization and included in the security assessment report and state-sponsored attackers who target the network infrastructure of major entities. There are a number of devices that together form network infrastructure of the organization. These devices have become a common target for the attackers that allows them to gain access to the flow data happening with the help of them. The routes and other network infrastructure devices offer a low level of security as compared to their other hardware. In the April of 2018, there were a number of attacks reported by the Australian, US and UK government sponsored by the Russian state-sponsored attackers. This included compromising the routers of the government and the private sector organization. In addition to this, with the increase in the sophistication of the breaches and the frauds happening throughout the cyberspace, there are new regulations that have intensified the focus on privacy and security of the user information. Combank has ensured that their operation comply with these policies and they develop measures and the cybersecurity framework that fulfills the requirements laid down by these regulatory and legal mandates developed by the governments of all the countries in which they operate. Now next is the preferred cybersecurity framework. Commonwealth Bank has developed their cybersecurity framework with the line developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. This includes the best practice, and the organization has adopted a voluntary use uh, when developing the critical infrastructure for all the sectors. The NIST cybersecurity framework is prioritized and flexible. It is adopted by Combank since it is most cost effective and easily repeatable, that allows the banking institution to manage all the risk related to cyber security of the company. It was initially developed for the critical infrastructure, but is now fairly popular among all the business organizations. The cybersecurity risks of the organization are divided into the following five categories in this framework. These include identification, protection, detection, response, and recovery. Over 70% of the organization throughout the world find the framework to be an excellent best practice for ensuring cybersecurity for the organization. However, there is a significant investment required from the organization end in order to implement it. The NIST framework is an excellent tool that provides necessary guidance on the relevant protections to be implemented by the organization in terms of their privacy and their civil liberties. This also allows the organization to shift the focus from being reactive to proactive about the risk management related to cybersecurity of the company. The high level of taxonomy provided to the organization with the help of this framework is used by them for the assessment and management of all the outcomes, and provides them the method for performing self-assessment so that they can also carry out supply chain risk management and regulatory and constructively interact with their shareholders of the supply chain of the Commonwealth Bank. The organization uses this framework for preventing cyber attacks and detecting them at an early stage. This also provides guidance on how the organizations are supposed to react to these cyber attacks and that may otherwise go unrecognized. Now, my friend is going to talk further.
Hi friends, I'm going to talk about activity of different status of cyber risk management process. This framework was taken by the CBA, included several standard and guidelines and best practices as well as basic knowledge for easy understanding and management of the cyber security risk. There are five major categories to this process, which are included: identify, protect, detect, uh, response, and recover. The main process of this the main process of this is to understand the business and their assets to support their critical.
So I'm going to talk about possible issues to be encountered. There are a number of data breaches being reported in the cyber threat landscape that is ever shifting. The cybersecurity analysts at Commonwealth Bank have to often face the false positive threats being detected in the system. This involves the various issues that are flagged as threats and are not actually the fraudulent activities. This not only results in taking up the valuable time of the analysts, but also leads to consumption of the valuable resource of the organization. Commonwealth Bank is also under constant threat of the breach of the data security system. The organization takes this very seriously and has built an evolved and complex system so that they can provide the necessary security and assurance to the customers. The customer's account held by the system at Commonwealth Bank are the most vulnerable point of entry for them. The hackers often steal privileged credentials of the customers and plan to elaborate cyber attacks that lead to reputation and financial losses for the companies operating in the banking and the financial sector. The customers of Commonwealth Bank are the weakest link, and your organization needs to ensure that they make the customers aware and put them in control of their information so that they're immediately able to report of any suspicious login or fraudulent transactions. Communication and intelligence are the two significant themes for enabling cybersecurity throughout the information system of Commonwealth Bank. It is recommended that your organization should move from having a walled approach to cybersecurity towards a holistic one that takes into consideration all transaction and communication happening throughout the business. It also have to take into consideration the ever-changing landscape of the cyber threats and constantly correct information to make the threat and fraud intelligence services more advanced by detecting the adversaries and taking steps to counter them. Findings and recommendation. Commonwealth Bank has developed the cybersecurity framework in line with the framework developed by NSIT. This includes the best practices that the organization has adopted voluntary use and when developing the critical infrastructure for all sectors. The identification of the cybersecurity risks requires the organization to develop an understanding of managing the systems of the organization, the people, asset, data, and capabilities. All the activities carried out by Commonwealth Bank in this regard form the foundation for the effective application of the cybersecurity framework developed by the organization. Commonwealth needs to focus on cross-industry collaboration so that the entire ecosystem of the banking and financial services is covered by the cybersecurity framework. Instead of looking at the individual links in the chain of the activities, Commonwealth Bank should work towards developing a system that takes care of all the cyber threats that your organization currently faces or will face potentially from end to end of the supply chain of the business. This framework will allow the bank to take a positive step towards minimizing the cyber threats and managing them effectively. The organization should also develop actionable insights that are not limited to the security analysts but allow feedback and inputs from all the members of the organization and business units. The organizational intelligence should be turned into the response by relevant people responsible for developing the cybersecurity framework for Commonwealth Bank and create intelligence within the banking organization by developing a common language for cybersecurity. There are volumes of transactions that the organization has to manage every minute, and therefore data encryption should be immediately followed by them to ensure that no serious problem is created for Commonwealth because of this. The end user devices should be enabled with anti-malware so that the attached to the network of the bank can be immediately managed. Commonwealth should avoid availing third-party services from vendors that do not provide security or have necessary cybersecurity measures in the place. The attacks should be detected right away and the organization should immediately try to identify all the data that has been altered or attacked to ensure that they provide secure services to their customer and clients. Thank you.